الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. رب يسر ولا تعسر. الحمد لله على عطائه. First of all, my dear sisters, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you the full reward of Laylatul Qadr. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all to that which He likes. Today, inshallah, we will be talking about a number of issues and a number of questions. And inshallah, we'll try to do our best to answer the questions as comprehensively, also as simply as possible, inshallah. So, the first question that we are going to discuss today is the question on what to do with accumulated oat fast due to pregnancy and childbirth. We kind of explored this a little bit last time. A lady who is pregnant or who is breastfeeding, should she compensate or make up the days that she had missed during Ramadan, or should she pay the fidya or do both? And we concluded that, according to the correct opinion, that also um, complies with the general laws of the Sharia. A sister who missed fasting due to pregnancy or childbirth should be making up the days. How to do this? Obviously, she must be making up the days as soon as she can. So if the problem is pregnancy and she can do while she's breastfeeding, then she should do them while breastfeeding. If she cannot do while she is breastfeeding, then simply uh, she can wait until she finishes breastfeeding. And even if that will accumulate 2, 3 years, she needs to spread them evenly, which means that, for example, a suggestion, doesn't have to be that way, but the suggestion is simply to fast every Monday and Thursday, the 3 middle days of each month. In this way, you can accumulate a type of compulsory fasting, which is making up the missed days of Ramadan, and at the same time observing the sunnah of fasting during a recommended days, such as the middle 3 days of each month and the the blessed days of Mondays and Thursdays, to fulfill the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And obviously, the main intention here is to make up the days that you have missed. However, as in another question, a sister who has not fasted during the month of Ramadan, or missed some days due to the cycle or some sickness or travel or any legitimate reason. So, in this case, the sister is not allowed to combine the 6 days of Shawwal with the compulsory fasting at the same intention, because this is a special type of fast, not a generic type of fast that we are commanded to do. And the reward is fasting 30 days plus 6 days from Shawwal. So if you combine the fasting of Ramadan together with the 6 days of Shawwal, because there is a specific question on that point, can I combine the Qada fasting with the 6 days of Shawwal? And the answer is no, you cannot combine these two together. Sisters, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so we're answering the question now that says fasting of the 6 days of Shawwal together with the days of Ramadan, the missed days of Ramadan. So sisters usually who are under a specific age, they will miss some fasting because of the period. Some sisters or even brothers may miss it because of travel or sickness or whatever legitimate reason. So the question is, can I combine these 6 days of Shawwal with the intention of fasting my missed days? So, for example, a sister missed 1 week of Ramadan because she had the cycle or she was sick. And then she knows that there is a great reward, and the reward obviously is whoever fasts the month of Ramadan and follows it with 6 days from Shawwal, it is as if he has fasted the entire year. So the question that we usually get, uh, can I combine the two fasts with the same intention? And the answer is no, because the hadith says fast the month of Ramadan. So Ramadan is 29 or 30 days. When you fast, when you fast only 20 days or 23 days or even 28 days, you have not completed the month of Ramadan. So the thing is, you fast the entire month of Ramadan, be it 29 or 30, and then complete it with the or follow it with 6 days from Shawwal. So you cannot combine, because if you combine, then there's two in one. The number that you should have fasted together is 35 or 36 days. So when you combine, obviously the number is going to be much less than this. So no, you cannot combine the fasting of the 6 days from Shawwal with the fasting of the missed days of Ramadan you have missed. We come to the other point actually is, now I have 1 week left from Ramadan that I need to make up. And also I need to fast 6 days from Shawwal. You're allowed to delay the making up of the days from Ramadan for all the way up to next Ramadan, even though it is much recommended to fast them as early as you can. So the question is, can I combine the fasting of the 6 days of Shawwal, or can I make the fasting of 6 days of Shawwal first? Because Shawwal will finish soon, obviously, and I can make up the days of Ramadan 11 months from the end of this Ramadan. So I go 11 months left to make up the missed days. But for Shawwal, I have to make this up. I have to, make these 6 days during the month of Shawwal. Can I do the 6th of Shawwal first and then the whatever I have missed of Ramadan later? Again, the scholars will disagree on this point. Some would say yes, and some would say no. Those who say no, and I do agree with this opinion, is because the hadith simply says whoever fasts the month of Ramadan and then follows it with 6 from Shawwal. And if you fast only part of Ramadan, that is not a fasting of Ramadan. So you need to make up the missed days first. And also, in the Sharia it says whatever is compulsory takes priority over what is recommended. So the simple rule is, if you have something, if you have a debt that you need to pay and you need to give a gift to someone, giving a gift is sunnah and paying back your debt is compulsory. So which one takes priority? Paying back your debt. So in the same way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as you owe a debt to Allah, which is a fasting with days you missed of Ramadan, so you have to make these up. And then you go to what is voluntary, what is sunnah, like the fasting of the 6 days of Shawwal. That is, if you have a few days missed, for example, like 1 week or so, then inshallah you can manage doing this in Shawwal, fasting whatever you missed of Ramadan, and then fasting 6 days of Shawwal. Some people would say it is okay because it's not very manageable to the sister. However, to the majority of sisters should be manageable. You can fast, for example, if you miss 7 days of Ramadan and 6 days in Shawwal, that's 13 days, under half the month in Shawwal. Another opinion would say yes, you can do this because there is no specification. But the opinion that I find more logical is that you need to make up the missed days first, because simply the hadith says whoever fasts Ramadan, meaning the whole of Ramadan, not just part of Ramadan. And when you miss because of a legitimate reason, then the alternative is to make this up. Is that clear, sisters?
Thank you.
Is it clear?
It is clear, but just one more question. Can we do the Shawwal, later on in the year with the intention of making up Shawwal after we've completed our Ramadan?
You mean Shawwal?
Yeah.
No, Shawwal has to be in Shawwal, sister.
Oh, you can't do that later?
No, you can't do that later. You can do it in the month. You must do it in Shawwal, because the person finishes with 6 days from the month of Shawwal. So you find another opinion that says you can do 6 of Shawwal first, and then the missed days of Ramadan later, because you have flexibility. You can do it anytime from this Shawwal all the way until the end of Sha'ban next year, just before Ramadan. But the fast of the 6 days of Shawwal are bound to the month of Shawwal, so you cannot delay them to another month.
Okay, thank you.
But again, the easy way to do this, I'm repeating this, fast Mondays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
Fast the 3 middle days of Shawwal. If you do this actually Mondays and Thursdays, how many days? You got 8 days. Yeah. At least 8 days, because the month is a minimum 29 days, so you get a minimum of 8 days of Mondays and Thursdays. Also, you get 3 days from the middle of the month, which is a very confirmed sunnah. So you end up 8 and 3, that's 11 days. So that is a way of doing it. Also, it is always better when you have a date that you pay it as early as you can. And making up the missed days is actually a debt. So making it up as early as you can is preferred, because you don't know, maybe you will become sick later, maybe something will prevent you, maybe only Allah knows what's going to happen to you. So it is better to pay your debt as early as you can, even though Allah did not make it compulsory on you to make it up immediately after Ramadan. Allah has given you flexibility. However, it is very well known in the Sharia that when you owe something to Allah or to people, deliver as fast as you can. For sisters who are just asking about the fasting, how to manage because she didn't fast the entire month because she was pregnant or because she was breastfeeding, for example. If this is the case, again, spreading the days, fasting on Mondays and Thursdays, for example, you can also uh, make this up, and that's completely legitimate in the short days of the winter. For example, when it comes, you can manage these 3 days a month. So different people will have different things that suit them. So it's up to you completely how you manage this. But the point is, try to finish as much as you can, as fast as you can, and try to do it in a way that, inshallah, you won't feel fatigued, or you won't feel unhappy about fast, inshallah. Do you have any further questions on this?
Not for me, that's fine, thank you.
So we answered two questions actually now. What to do with the accumulated oat fast due to pregnancy and childbirth? And the second question, can I combine the fasting of the 6 days of Shawwal with the missed days that I have missed in Ramadan? Okay. So another sister is asking, I'm Egyptian. Please ask Imam if he can send Zakatul Fitr to the poor Egyptians instead of donating to Mosque because they are suffering a lot. Yes, obviously. And there is another question that is related to this point as well. Do I have to give Zakatul Fitr later? Do I have to give Zakatul Fitr local? And that's one thing. Another, what time? Another question related to the same point again is there a time frame for Zakatul Fitr? Zakatul Fitr, what you call in the sub-Indian continent, fitrana or fitra. Okay, that is the money or the food that you pay at the end of Ramadan to purify your fast of any filth or any sin that may have associated with, and it's compulsory. So we understand now what Zakatul Fitr. Zakatul Fitr, that is the term used in the Arab land, in the Arabic language for what the Asians call fitrana or fitra, and this is the almost £5 that you pay towards the end of Ramadan, but it must be paid before Eid. So there are three questions in this regard. Can I pay it to Egypt because they are suffering a lot, and I should not paying it to the mosque? That's one thing. The second thing is there a time frame? Does it have to be local? So these good 3 points. Does it have to be local? Is actually same thing as the first question is, I'm Egyptian, she is living in the UK, and then she would like to send Zakat al-Fitr to the poor. So let's start point per point. Zakat al-Fitr, or you call fitrana, sometimes we call it Sadaqat al-Fitr, is compulsory on every Muslim, irrespective of whether they are fasting or not, irrespective of their age or their mental state. So even if you got someone who is not mentally stable under your guardianship, you need to pay for them. But they are not fasting, they are not charged with the rules of the Sharia to start with, but still you have to pay. So let's say a family of five, the father, the mother, and 3 children. One child, for example, is 15 years old, so he's like an adult now, and he must fast and observe the fasting. One other child is like 10 years old, still have not reached puberty, so he doesn't have to fast, but he still fasts. One child who was just been born 1 month ago, for example. So that's the family of 5. This family of 5, the father or the guardian, if the mother is the guardian now, but normally it is the father, has to pay the equivalent of what we call 1 sa' of the most common food of the area in which they live. So if the most common food of the area is rice, for example, like in Bangladesh, so they have to pay sa', and sa' is almost 3 kilograms, just 2.45, so 2.75 kilograms. So say 3 kilograms, which the scholars estimate now, if you want to buy something like 3 kilograms of good quality rice nowadays is going to be around £5. Some other scholars say no, no. If you go and give a homeless person, for example, some 3 kilograms of rice, what's it going to do with them? So it is the value of an average meal, one meal, of what is the most common food. Say, let's say here it's biryani, chicken biryani, for example, or lamb biryani, £5 to £6. So this is what needs to be paid. And originally, the Prophet ﷺ and his companions used to pay it in food. They didn't give it in money. Many scholars nowadays say you can pay it in money. However, it would be better and more preferred to pay it in food because this is a practice of the Prophet ﷺ. So you need to pay this before the Eid prayer. If you pay it after Eid prayer, it will be considered as normal sadaqah and it would not be accepted from you as zakatul fitr or fitrana. And you would have not been given the reward of paying zakatul fitr. So the time frame for this is before Eid and in Ramadan as well. The Sahaba used to give it 1 or 2 days before the Eid. Now the question, most of us pay this money to the mosque and the mosque sends it to the poor. Most of us also send this money to some local charities. Can I pay earlier? And the answer is yes. Normally it should be given just before the Eid prayer or 1 or 2 days before the Eid. That is the delivery time. However, that was possible at the time of the Prophet ﷺ because, and even in our countries nowadays, where you go yourself and give it to the poor. You go and see them and you give it to them in their hands. Now, that is not possible because there is not much poor here. At least you don't know enough poor people in the area where you live, particularly in the West, like in the United Kingdom where we live. So how would you deliver them? You give it to the mosque and the mosque sends it to a charity, you send it to another country where it is given to the poor people. And you give it to a charity, for example, Islamic Relief or whatever, and they deliver it in Bangladesh, in Syria, in Yemen, whatever. So in order for them to be able to do this, they need the money much earlier. So you're allowed to pay the money earlier. And the charity, because of logistics or because of organizational reasons, they can pay it somewhere in the last 15 days of Ramadan is very manageable, inshallah. So the original rule is the time frame for Zakatul Fitr is just before Eid or 1 to 2 days before Eid. That is the original rule. Because of logistic reason or because of practical reason, the charity, again, that we don't know local people, if you go and give it to them in their hands, that will be easy. And we'll say do it just before Eid or just the day or the 2 days before Eid. But that is not the case at the moment. So you are allowed to give it a charity or to the mosque where the mosque sends it to the people. And let's make it very clear. People who give Zakatul Fitr to the mosque are not allowed to hold this or use this for expenses on the masjid expenses because it is only for people, not for buildings. And it must be given to the people who are poor. So a mosque cannot hold the money and spend it on the mosque expenses. It must be given. That's why majority of mosques I know, or all of the mosques I know about, when they get Zakatul Fitr, they send it to charity or they send themselves to people whom they know in third world countries. So if a sister pays, because one part of the question, the sister says, can I pay to the mosque? Instead of paying it to the mosque. When you pay it to the mosque, you're not paying it for the mosque management. You're paying it, you're delegating the mosque to send it to the poor on your behalf. So this must be made clear, please. Can I pay it? Sister, she paid the Zakat al-Fitr about 10, 15 days ago. No problem, inshallah, and is accepted, inshallah, as long as the charity was delivered it in the beginning, in the second half of Ramadan, inshallah. And you don't have to pay it again because of the reason, because of the logistic reasons that it needs to be delivered. Does it have to be local? It doesn't have to be local, but it is recommended. And if there is a need in the local area and this need is not fulfilled by the local people who pay Zakat al-Fitr, it will be haram to move it elsewhere, unless there is really good reason to do that. So let's say we're living in London or Canterbury, and there are plenty of poor people who are Muslims or eligible for Zakat al-Fitr, and the people of Canterbury send their money to Yemen or to Syria, even though they are more needy. However, you are not allowed to do this because you have your local people, and every locality must fulfill the needs of its poor people. However, if there is no more people, no plenty of poor people, it's not possible for you to find them, then simply you can move it. And this is the case at the moment. Actually, you will hardly find any poor people in the area where you live, or at least you're not aware of them. And even if there are, they simply, there are much more people who give than people who need. So you move this to outside, like to your home country, in Egypt, in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, wherever it is. That's all legitimate and permissible, inshallah. Again, when there is nobody or there are too little people to receive the money in the locality where you live. Is this clear, inshallah?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. No further question on this point?
No, no.
Okay.
Is the zakat for Muslims or can it be given to non-Muslims?
No, any type of zakah or compulsory giving should be given to Muslims. So sadaqah, normal sadaqah, it can be given to non-Muslims, like for example the homeless in the street. However, the zakat al-fitr and the normal zakah, the 2.5% of your saving that you pay every year, one of the conditions to be paid for Muslim. Also, it is associated to an Islamic ritual, which is fasting, and is the point of this is to bring joy to the heart of a Muslim at the day of Eid, and this is not applicable to a non-Muslim. So zakah, any type of zakah, zakat al-fitr or the normal zakah, it must be given to a Muslim. But normal sadaqah, the voluntary one, can be given to a Muslim or to a non-Muslim.
Thank you. And it has to be only food, you said.
According to many scholars, no, it can be in money nowadays, but the original ruling, the practice of the Prophet and his companion was that it was in food. So you'll find again different opinions among the scholars. Some would say it must be in food, and some would say it can be only also in money, because money is more is beneficial to people. They can buy whatever they want. So what we did, I've got a charity, for example. So I did just I keep everybody happy. So say, okay, you pay us money, and we will buy the food and deliver in third world countries as per the original practice of the Prophet ﷺ, just to keep everybody happy and satisfied. Some people who believe it can be done in money, okay, we give it in money, no problem, inshallah. So the original practice of the Prophet, yes, it was given in food. But this nowadays, some embarrassing to many. Some people, you go to your neighbor and give them 3 kilos of rice, you take this. No, it's better if you give them 5 pound, and also it's manageable. Maybe they don't need rice at the moment. They need flour. They need something else. They need to buy meals. They need to buy the children clothes. So money will be more flexible for them to use as per their original needs.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We move to the next question. Sister say, I live in Canterbury, my mother's first anniversary this week, and I need to do something for her. I'm not sure what to do. The Prophet ﷺ said that إذا مات ابن آدم انقطع عمله إلا من ثلاث. When the son of Adam dies, his good deeds or the reward of his good deeds will cease to exist except of three things. صدقة جارية وعلم ينتفع به وولد صالح يدعو له. The first good deed that you will continue to reap its reward after your death is a ongoing charity that is of a continuous nature, which means the benefit of the charity that you have started or you have contributed to will carry on, will continue to be given or to be reaped by people after your death. For example, you contributed to the building of a masjid and people continue to pray in that masjid after your death. You built an orphanage, or you contributed to the building of an orphanage. You dug a water well for people to drink from. As long as people continue to benefit from this during your life or after your death, you'll continue to get a reward. That is sadaqah jariyah. The second one is ilm yuntafa'u bih, beneficial knowledge that people continue to benefit from after your death. You've also some great books. You have given some lectures. You have taught many people, and these people continue to learn and continue to benefit others from the knowledge that they have learned from you. Then you will continue to get the reward even after your death. And the third, which is relevant to the question now, is وَوَلَدٍ صَالِحٍ يَدْعُو لَهُ. Walad, hey, in Arabic, when you say walad, the word walad does not mean boy. Some people interpret as boy. No, walad means in Arabic like a child in English, so it means boy or girl, a child. So an righteous child who makes dua for the deceased parent. So, and another hadith, the Prophet says, وَوَلَدُ المرء وولد الإنسان من عمله. The child of a person is part and parcel of the person's deeds, because it is this person who has the father, I mean, or the mother who has given birth to that child. It was the reason, by the will of Allah, for the existence. It is they who give them the good upbringing, and it is they who gave them everything in their lives until they became mature. So anything the child does, and in terms of good deeds, and intends with this for the sake of Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give the child obviously the full reward. And also if the child makes it with the intention of giving the reward to the father or to the mother, the reward inshallah will be given also fully to the father and the mother, as well as to the child as well. Allah does not divide the reward. So when you say something, for example, I'm giving this sadaqah on behalf of my father or my mother, or I'm building this mosque on behalf of my deceased mother, don't think that the reward will go to the mother only and you will get no reward. No, Allah does not divide. If the reward Allah is going to give to you in this case, or to your father, is 1 million reward, Allah will give you 1 million, and Allah will give the donor or the child 1 million as well. So we have to understand this point very carefully. So the point I want to go here is, the best thing you can do for your mom is to pray for her and do good deeds on her behalf, and like reading the Quran, and more importantly, actually most importantly, giving sadaqah, donating something on her behalf that is of continuous nature, so she can keep getting the reward. And that's why many scholars actually say, when you read the Quran for someone, the reward does not reach them if they are dead, unless you are their child, which means that if you do this on behalf of your mother or on behalf of your father, that indeed will reach, the reward will reach them. If you are not the child, like their son or their daughter, scholars would disagree, will it reach or not? But they agree that it will reach the reward if done by the child. Why? Because of these two hadiths that the Prophet says, "Walad salih yad'u lah." One of the things that will give you reward after your death is a righteous child who makes dua for you or who does good deeds on your behalf. And the other hadith in which the Prophet says, وَوَلَدُ الْإِنسَانِ مِنْ عَمَلِهِ, and the child of a person is part and parcel of his deeds. So whatever the child does with the intention of giving a reward to their parents, inshallah, it will reach the parents. This is the best thing you can do. Again, making dua for them, doing good deeds like fasting some days on their behalf, like doing hajj on their behalf, like giving sadaqah on their behalf, being kind to their relatives and to their friends as well. The Prophet ﷺ used to slaughter the sheep and would send it to the friends of Khadija, and he would go and visit the friends of Khadija. And when you do this, so one of the ways of being dutiful to your parents is to keep good connection and good relations with the friends and with the family member of the parents after their death. So these are some of the few things that we can do for our parents. Keep them always in our dua. Say the dua, رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا. Oh Allah, shower your mercy on them as they have brought me up when I was young. Is that clear, sisters?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, any more clarifications on this point? Okay. Now, another question is, 6 days of Shawwal, we already answered this question. If you die and you have a credit card debt, what can you do? Obviously, you're dead, you can't do anything. It has to be done. It has to be done by you before you die, or by your inheritors after you die. So that's why leaving a will is really important. Leaving a will is really important, and it is greatly disliked to resort to any form of debt unless it is really necessary. So if you have money in your bank account, for the sake of argument, why would you use a credit card? And yes, I'm not saying using credit card is haram. It is haram if you have to pay interest. You got 1 month free period. So for example, if you buy something with a credit card and you pay within 1 month, they don't charge you with interest. So you can use it in this case. Sometimes I want to pay something online, and that happened with me personally, and they accept only credit cards. They don't accept debit card. I'm not sure why, but this is the case. So what to do? I had to apply for a credit card and pay it, or get a friend to pay using his credit card. So that is the case. So to have a credit card and pay it back within the free period is halal. To go beyond this period and to incur interest is haram, because involving interest is haram. So now you need to leave a will that I own that much. That person owes me that much. I owe that person that much. Give my money in this way. Obviously, in everything that must comply with the Sharia. The Prophet ﷺ and many of the scholars actually say it's compulsory to leave a will. And don't say, I'm young, you don't know when you're going to die. Everybody, you can die as a baby, you can die as a child, you can die as a mid-age, you can die when you're old. Nobody knows when or where they are going to die. So you need to leave a will for that. Now let's say some person, just out of the blue, something happened and you have debt on your credit card. That is a debt. It must be paid. It doesn't matter if it's for a company or for a person. And one of the things that will prevent even martyrs from entering the Jannah is when they have debt. If you have £1 debt on you and you die, your Jannah will be pending paying of your debt. And there are plenty of hadiths in the Sharia that indicate this meaning. And the Prophet ﷺ would refuse praying the janazah over anybody who has debt, who died with a debt. He would, whenever janazah is brought in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, does he have any debts on him? If someone would say, no, he doesn't have any debts, the Prophet ﷺ would offer the janazah prayer. If someone, he would say, yes, he has a debt, the Prophet ﷺ would say, Sallu alayhi wa sallam, you pray on him, I'm not going to pray on him. So it must be something extremely severe for the mercy to mankind, Muhammad ﷺ, to refuse to pray over that person. And in many hadiths, that happened, and some of the Sahaba would undertake to pay the debt on behalf of the deceased, and then only then when they say this, the Prophet ﷺ started praying the janazah over that deceased person. And later on, when money became available in the hands of Muslims, the Prophet ﷺ would pay the debts of those who passed away with debts on them. The Prophet ﷺ would pay it himself. So the point I want to make, dying with any type of debt is actually really, really bad. And in the same way, inheritors will be happy to get your money after you die. They are liable and they must pay the debt on your behalf. If they don't, still you will bear the sin and your Jannah will be bound. It doesn't mean you'll go to the hellfire, but it means if you deserve the Jannah, your Jannah will be suspended until your debt is paid. So,
is mortgage counted as a debt?
Yes, it is a debt.
So, for example, God forbid, if I die, I have got this life insurance, I've got my pension and things. It takes some time for this to be paid. Then what will happen?
First, I'm sorry to say that life insurance is completely haram, sister. You must get rid of this.
Oh dear.
Yes. And I'm not aware of anybody who said life insurance is halal. There may be other types of insurance that are halal, like, due to necessity, such as car insurance, for example. Some people would give you in specific situations where you have too much medical expenses and you cannot afford them. Only then you can go to medical insurance, but that's all during your life. But now, why you putting life insurance on yourself? But you will die.
Then we have got the mortgage. They ask for that we should have these insurances. I really don't remember.
It's a qaida in the Sharia. The wrong leads to another wrong or a greater wrong. So we said before that no traditional mortgages, where you take money from the bank to buy a house or a flat, and then you pay with interest, that is haram. Okay, and one of the conditions, because these people don't work according to the conditions of the Islamic Sharia, they will ask you to have life insurance. So if you die, they will take from the house price from no, actually in the Islamic Sharia it has specified rules about this. If someone dies with a debt, it is the liability of the inheritors, those who are normally inherited, if he had left money behind, to pay the debts back. But the primary responsibility is on that person. So to do things you will not buy the life of others with your akhirah system. I'm sorry to say this. So you need to get rid of this life insurance immediately. Because first, it does not show trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah has guaranteed the risk for everybody. Somebody say, I want to guarantee the future of my children. Wallahi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Kahf, وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا. In the story of Musa and Al-Khadir, when he went and Allah sent two Nabi, on the opinion that says Al-Khadr is a Nabi, or one Nabi and one righteous person, on the opinion that says the Khadr is a righteous person. Allah sent these two great people simply to build a wall, for one reason, because the wall had a treasure under it for two minor children. And why would Allah send two Nabi to build that wall? Allah mentioned in the Quran because their father was righteous. Their father was righteous. So the best inheritance and the best guarantee that you live for your children is righteousness. And righteousness means obeying the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doing the do's and leaving the don'ts. Let me mention this story. Maybe that will be disturbing, but I have to be clear here because Allah will ask me about this. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, the great who is described as the fifth Khalifa, he was a Muslim Khalifa, the ruler of the Muslim empire at that time. And one came after him called Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. Both were Muslim Khalifa, but Umar was known for his piety, and Abdul Malik ibn Marwan was known for his involvement in the dunya, and he had plenty of wealth. Okay, so one of the scholars went to give congratulations to a new Khalifa who has been appointed. And as soon as the Khalifa saw that scholar, he knew that he was a bit tough. So he said, okay, let it come from me rather than come from him. He's going to tell me off anyhow, or he's going to tell me some harsh words. So let me preempt him. He said, would you please admonish me? And the scholar said to him, would you like me to admonish you with something that I have seen with my own eyes, or with something that I have heard with my ears? He said, no, with something that you have seen with your own eyes. And the Khalifa, the scholar said to him, by Allah, O commander of the believer, Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, the Khalifa, when he died, he left behind hundreds of millions of gold and silver coins. And besides the palaces and the real estate, etc. So he left a huge wealth, maybe billions of pounds nowadays. And he had left behind 10 children and 4 wives. And Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, the righteous Khalifa, when he died, he left behind only 18 dinars. 18 dinars. And he left 10 children and 4 wives. By Allah, these 18 dinars that were left by the Khalifa, imagine like the Queen nowadays. The Queen of England has only 18 pounds in her account when he died. He said, by Allah, these 18, they were used. 9 were used to buy his coffin and his grave, and the other 9 were distributed among his 10 children and 4 wives. So not even 1 pound for each one of them. And the other Khalifa who died with billions of pounds, his money was distributed among all of his children. So what is the point so far? He said, by Allah, O commander of the believer, I have seen one of the children of Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, who left billions of pounds behind, begging from people in the streets. And on the same day, I have seen one of the children of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, who left only 18 dinars, just providing the Muslim army with hundreds of horses for the sake of Allah. So why? Because it is not the money that will guarantee the future of your children. It is your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was asked, why, O commander of the believer, why didn't you leave good wealth for your children even though you could have? He said to them, listen, my children will either be good or bad. If they are good, Allah will look after the good people. If they are bad, I will not leave them for them wealth that will make them disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm not saying leave your children without wealth or do not save anything for your children. No, because the Prophet ﷺ said, أن تترك أولادك أغنياء خير من أن تتركهم عالة يسترجون الناس. يعني if you leave your children in good financial condition, is better than leaving them penniless, asking or begging from people. But the bottom line is, whatever whatever you are doing, it must be in a halal way. So first, you must have the conviction that Allah will look after your children after your death. Allah will look after you, but only if you obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you look after Allah by obeying His commandments and not resorting to the haram things. Because again, the thing is, we do things to buy a house, but even if we pay the rent, sister, oh okay, oh, we'll buy the house. So we will live for a specific, most people buy a house around the age of 40 or so. Okay, how many years are you going to live after this? Perhaps you will die before you pay the complete mortgage, or you'll die a few years later. It doesn't matter. But at the end of the period, you have earned the, unless you make repentance, you have earned the sin, the house will go to someone else. Also, life insurance, what is the point? When you die, the money will go to the children. Yes, children will enjoy the money, and it is haram, and you will bear the full, you will pay the full price with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So yes, please, sister, I'm not aware of anybody who said life insurance is halal. But yes, there are some opinions that other types of insurance can be made permissible due to necessity, such as car insurance. I cannot drive a car without insurance. This is a law. So yes, I can take car insurance. For example, medical, again, when you have some medical problems and there is no way you can afford the medical expenses, and if you wait for the NHS queues, you will die, then you are allowed to resort to medical insurance in this particular case, not generally speaking, because you don't know what is going to happen. So these things we need to be very careful about them. And always, this is the approach of many Muslims. They do the thing and then they ask. No, you should ask and then do the thing. A brother came to me last year and he's asking, he had a relationship with his wife, and he's saying, sorry, there was, I had a relationship, but there was no, I'm sorry to say, there was no, for example, there was no ejaculation. I said, what? When did he do that? During the daytime or the nighttime? He said, during the daytime. I said, what? He said, no, I thought it was only if there is ejaculation, it would be haram. But without, I said, who told you this? But you came after you have done the deed, and then you're asking. No, when something is gray to you, you're not sure, you should go ask, make things clear, and then do the deed. I'm sorry if this sounds harsh, but I have to be extremely clear here, because Allah will ask me, when the Prophet ﷺ, whenever he's brought with something, if it is okay, he will keep quiet or he will approve it. If it is haram, he will not keep quiet. He will have to tell, because we have a mission, we have a commandment, we have something laid up on us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make things clear to people. So I'm not sure. Now go back to the mortgage. Whether it's haram or not, this is not the point I'm mentioning now. The point is, it is a type of debt. Let's say you have taken a mortgage and we say it's haram. It's still a debt on you, you have to pay. So if you die, obviously, that debt must be paid by your children. Is this clear, sister?
Yes, thank you. Loud and clear.
Okay. Now we'll go to the next question, inshallah. This question is really important. The sister said about the hadith. Why were women described as deficient in their mind and religion? Okay, this is a very common question. Why were women described as deficient in their mind and religion? Okay. Any idea from you, sisters? Is this true that women were described in Islam as deficient in mind and religion?
No, not sure.
Sorry?
No, I'm not sure about this. No.
You're not sure. Any other sister, Anne?
No, I can't remember actually.
Yes. There is a hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari which is very authentic, where the Prophet ﷺ told the women on the day of Eid, after he gave the khutbah, he went towards women and he said ما رأيت من ناقصات عقل ودين أذهب للب الرجل الحازم من إحداكن. I've never seen people who are deficient in mind and in religion that can easily take away the mind of the firm man more than you do, ladies. So فقامت امرأة من الأنصار جزلة, a woman from the Ansar who was very fluent and very eloquent, and she said, وما نقصان عقلنا يا رسول الله, what is it that we are deficient in our deen, in our deen? And he said, isn't it true that when women are in their monthly cycle, they don't fast and they don't pray? She said, yes. The Prophet said, this is part of deficiency in her deen. And said, okay, what is this that we're deficient in our mind? The Prophet said, isn't the testimony of the woman or the witness of a woman half of that of a man? She said, yes. The Prophet said, this is part of her deficiency in her aql, or in her mind. Okay, so this is the hadith. At face value, that would seem as if the Prophet ﷺ is dispraising women, and he's telling them that like you are inferior to men. Isn't this what you understand from the?
Yeah. It's a
Yes.
bit offensive.
Yes, and but let's explain things to clarify this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions a beautiful ayah in Surah An-Nisa. Surah An-Nisa, there is a surah in the Quran that's called women, and there is no surah that's called men. Okay? Allah says in that ayah, وَلَا تَتَمَنَّوْا مَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بِهِ بَعْضَكُمْ عَلَى بَعْض. Let me see if I can send you this ayah. But please, this is a comprehensive answer. Do not cut me short before I finish. Okay? Yes. Not sure to put the chat. You can look at this ayah, huh? Can you see the ayah?
Yes, I could see it, but now it has disappeared.
I'm not sure why it disappeared. I'll put it again. Well, let me put the English only. Maybe the Arabic will get a problem. The ayah says, وَلَا تَتَمَنَّوْا مَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بِهِ بَعْضَكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ لِلرِّجَالِ نَصِيبٌ مِّمَّا اكْتَسَبُوا وَلِلنِّسَاءِ نَصِيبٌ مِّمَّا اكْتَسَبْنَ وَاسْأَلُوا اللَّهَ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمًا. And do not covet what Allah has given to some of you more than others. Women have a portion of what they have earned, and men have a portion of what they have earned. You should rather ask Allah of His bounty. وَاسْأَلُ اللَّهَ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. He has full knowledge of everything. What do you understand from this ayah, sister? Any answer? No answer?
So I just don't think we should be looking at what each other has. You know, we shouldn't be looking at men like they're higher than us. Men shouldn't look at us like we're below them. This is for Allah to know our station. Our station is between us and Allah. And if we want more, then just go straight to Allah. Don't look who's above you, who's below you. Just go straight to Allah.
Yeah, that is part of the meaning, but mainly it means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has distributed the rules amongst humans and amongst His creation. The fact that women get pregnant and give birth and breastfeed while men don't do this does not mean women are inferior or superior to men, and does not mean that someone is better than another. It means that is their role in the life to do this point, and they have natural characteristics that are different from those of men. And it is Allah, the creator, and he knows what he has created. In an ayah, Allah says, أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ وَهُوَ اللَّطِيفُ الْخَبِيرُ. Doesn't he know what he has created? And he is the all-knowing, the all-subtle. Obviously, Allah does know. Allah has formed this universe on a system that we need each other to complement each other. If we are redundant, all of us are men, and all of us are women, we all need each other. That's why Allah described us بَعْضُكُم مِّن بَعْض. Some of you are some, I am some. We come together, we make the whole. So we need to complement each other. So Allah has created women with specific characteristics and has given them specific talents. And Allah has created men with specific characteristics and has given them specific talents. Men need women in order to find tranquility and form a family. And women need men in order to find tranquility and find a family. Women won't be able to do this on their own, and men won't be able to do this on their own. So Allah is telling us, Allah has given, this ayah comes after the ayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَهُنَّ مِثْلُ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. And to women, similar rights to that which is expected of them, according to what is reasonable. Allah says, وَلِلْرِجَالِ عَلَيْهِنَّ دَرَجَةً. And men have a degree over them. What degree? Degree of Quwama, that men should be the one who are leading the family, the one who is spending on the family, the one who are managing the family, obviously with mutual consultation. And then Allah says, الرجال قوامون على النساء. Men are in charge of women, or maintainers of women, for two reasons. What are these? بما فضل الله به بعضهم على بعض. Because of what Allah has given some of them more than the others, the bounty that Allah. So the first reason why men are in charge or maintainers of women is because Allah is the one who assigned this role to them. And the second is because it is men normally who spend on the family and who maintain the family, so they will give them a degree over women. So far, I have not come to the main point. The ayah says Allah has assigned these roles. Men are doing this and women are doing this. So Allah is telling us men have a degree over women in this particular aspect. Even when it comes to the rights, they are equal. So Allah says, وَلَا تَتَمَنَّوْا مَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بِهِ بَعْضَكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. Do not covet or wish that which Allah has given to some of you more than others. So men shouldn't covet what women have been given and men have not been given. And women should not also say why Allah has given men this and not us. It is the one who made you who assigned this role. Is it clear? Allah says men have portion of what they have earned, or have the portion they have earned. Men will be questioned and men will be taken into account, rewarded or punished as per the orders given to them in their own capacity, as per the faculties that Allah has given them. And women will have the same. They will be questioned, rewarded or punished as per the commandments that Allah has given to them. Allah says, don't look for what others have in their hands in terms of wealth or in terms of some natural talents that Allah has given them. But Allah says, وَاسْأَلُوا اللَّهَ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. And ask Allah of His bounty. What bounty? Ask Allah to give you barakah, to give you blessing, to give you increase in the faculties that He has given to you as a woman, or in the faculty that He has given to you as a man. And rest assured that Allah has full knowledge of everything. And because He has full knowledge of everything, He distributed the rules. So, Allah, the point, as the Prophet described it, that women are deficient in religion. It does not mean that they have less reward than men or that they are less religious than men. That's not the meaning at all. That's the meaning that you get, but this is not the meaning that the Prophet ﷺ has said. When he was asked, why do you describe them as deficient in religion? The Prophet ﷺ said, when a woman is having her cycle, or she's breastfeeding, she's after childbirth bleeding, does she fast or does she pray? And the answer is obviously no. That's why she That is deficiency in the religion. Deficiency here is not a negative meaning, sister. Deficiency meaning, what is religion first? Religion is a commandment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And will Allah take you into account for something He did not command you to do? Can someone answer me?
No, excuse me.
No. Yes. Let's say you have the period and you decided to fast and pray. Is this allowed for you?
No, that would be haram.
Haram, and you will be sinful, yes?
Yeah.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have one template for men and women, and He ticks the books as per the template. No, Allah has a template for everyone as per the commandment they are asked to do. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you the concession not to pray or fast when you have your period. And who has given you that period? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So does this mean that your reward will diminish because of this? Men pray more than you, but men pray more than you. That's true, not because you had the option to and you didn't opt for it, or because they are more righteous or religious than you, but because Allah has commanded you to stop praying out of mercy to you during that time when you go through the bleeding pains and the psychological changes that happen during the time of that period. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the meaning here is that women are deficient in the commandments that have been given to them. In other words, women have less commandments in the Sharia than men. Is it clear?
Yeah.
It does not mean women have less reward or are less righteous than men. No, women have less commandments from the Sharia than men. So women are not asked to perform jihad. Men have to. Women are not asked to pray Jama'ah or Jum'ah in the masjid. Men have to. Women are not allowed to pray or fast during their menses. Men do not have that problem. So the commandments of the Sharia, generally speaking, and nobody would disagree on this, for men are more than the commandments for women. But when it comes to the reward, are they same? Are they same? Yes. Allah says, لِلرِّجَالِ نَصِيبٌ مِّمَّا اكْتَسَبُوا وَلِلنِّسَاءِ نَصِيبٌ مِّمَّا اكْتَسَبُوا. Men will have the portion that they have earned, which means Allah has commanded a man during his lifespan to pray 100,000 times. If he prayed this 100,000 times, Allah will give him the full reward. Women who live the same time span, Allah has commanded her to pray only 60,000 times, and she has prayed the 60,000 times as Allah prescribed. So Allah will give her the full reward as 100,000 times a man has been given. But at the end of the day, who performed more deeds?
Men.
Men. But will they get more reward?
No. But surely
No.
the woman is rewarded for being obedient in not praying.
Yes, that's the point. That's the point I'm making, sister. So the women are deficient in their religion, meaning that they have less commandments from the Sharia than men, even though they get full reward like men, irrespective of whether they prayed or performed jihad same as men or not. That's clear in another hadith. A woman went to the Prophet ﷺ and she was speaking very beautifully. And she said, "Oh, Messenger of Allah, I have a question." I said, "What?" He said, "Oh, we women carry your children. We stay with you at home and we have intimacy with you. And we cook for you. We do everything for you. We do the for women. But you men, you pray and fast more than us. You have money, you give sadaqah more than us. You go for jihad and hajj and umrah more than us. You go for Jumu'ah and for Jama'ah, and we are not asked to do, even though a woman is allowed to go, but she's not asked to. You understand? So why men, she asked this question, why you men have all of these favors upon us and you get more reward, why we don't have a chance? She asked it in that clear way. The Prophet ﷺ said to the Sahaba, have you seen any woman who has greater wisdom than this woman? The Sahaba said, we never thought a woman would ask such a beautiful question. Then the Prophet ﷺ looked at the lady and said, sister, be assured that having a good relation with your husband, meaning being kind and loving to your husband, is equal to all of these men do. And the woman, she left rejoicing and saying Allahu Akbar. So a woman's approach of love and kindness to her husband will be rewarded with a reward similar to the man praying all the time, man doing jihad, man doing hajj and umrah frequently, man going to the jama'ah and the jum'ah frequently. So because Allah has distributed the rules and he gives the reward as per the performance of the person as per the rule assigned to them. Does this make sense? When you accept the decree of Allah in what Allah has given you, and you ask Allah of His bounty in what He has given to you without coveting what He has given to the other party, Allah will give you the full reward. Allah will not diminish you of your reward. That is the deficient in mind, in religion. Deficient in mind. Again, we'll come back to the same rule distribution. Let me ask you, sisters, now. Okay. Generally speaking, who is more emotional than the other, men or women?
Women.
Women. And generally speaking, who is more rational than the other, men or women? Men.
Men.
Allahu Akbar. You admitted this, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Women, when they have an emotional outburst, they actually, it's hard to control them. This emotional tendency of women, is it bad or good?
I think it has got its own pros and cons. That is obviously that is
everything has its pros and cons, but generally speaking, is it required or not?
Well, we are human, so humans should have emotions, isn't it?
Yes, yes, but women have more emotional and have more mercy, generally speaking, than men, yes?
I think these are the hormones, isn't it?
They are, so what?
That is how women are made different from men. These are the hormones.
Exactly. This is the point. This is the point I want to make. Women, they need this extra amount of emotion because they are the ones who carry the children, who bring them up, who look after them. Yes? Imagine you're traveling 1 week away or 1 month away and you're leaving your 3 children with your husband. What will happen?
Disaster.
Exactly. So this extra,
my husband is very good.
This is extra type of emotion that Allah has given to women because it suits the nature that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created them for. If actually when my wife goes for 2 hours and she leaves my 2 kids with me, I start screaming at them. I cannot even though I know this is wrong. But sometimes theory is easy, but action is difficult. You understand? The type of patience, the type of emotion, if we think rationally, ask what is the point of having kids? Actually, they give us trouble. We pay a lot of money for their education and for the bringing up, and nobody will have a child. If you think about it rationally, actually, yes. But it's because of this emotion we want to have children. We don't mind spending our wealth, all our wealth, to just have 1 child or to bring up that child. And when that child grows up, they may be very bad or naughty or maybe very ungrateful to us. We still love them and we still give them our wealth and our love. Why? Because of the emotion that Allah has planted in us. Allah has given women an extra degree of emotion because this is what they need to manage their lives. And men, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them the role of maintaining the family, taking some rational decisions, go and earning the livelihood, and this needs a greater level of rationality than emotion. So the role assigned by Allah to women is that of emotions, and she can be given 100% in this. And the role assigned by Allah to men is that of managing and calculating and balancing things on a rational basis, and they do this slightly better than women. This does not mean that women lack rationality or that men lack emotions, but women are better in emotions and men are better in rationality. Generally speaking, there could be a woman who is much more rational than a man, or a man who is much more emotional than a woman, but we're speaking about the general rule. So that's what the Prophet ﷺ meant, that Allah has given them, they are deficient in mind, which means they are not as rational, or they don't tend, generally speaking, to think rationally like men, and they tend to think emotionally, which is required, and the way they are made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hence, if I give them 100% in their emotions and 80-90% in their rationale, that would be the fulfilling completely the task that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has assigned to them, and they will be given the full reward. So deficient in mind means they don't to think rationally like men. Sometimes my wife, I want to do this. Okay, it doesn't make sense to me, but why you don't make it? It's just like this. I want to okay, tell me a reason, please, please. It's just because I like it. Okay, you like it, but if we do this have this disadvantages. She won't help, she won't listen. I want this, I want this, because they are driven by the emotion. When it comes to the family members, for example, I want yes, that is what you're doing is good, but listen, we need to do that other thing. We need to do that. I don't want to give particular examples, but generally speaking, women, when they ask, they are driven more by emotions than by rationality. And men, they are driven more by rationality than emotions. It does not mean that women are deficient or women or men are deficient or men are harsh. It means that this is the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has programmed both of us. So this is not something bad to women, but it's actually something good because it helps them perform the function that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created them for. Unlike men, Allah, they have a different function. And if they are given the emotional role of the woman, they are 100% fail. But if women are given the rational role of a man, they will succeed 80 to 90%. So actually, women have a degree in this regard, and it is required of them to perform the function that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to them. And this is what the ayah said. Let's read the ayah again with this understanding, and we'll understand more. Do not covet what Allah has given to some of you more than others. Men have the portion they have earned it, and women have the portion that they have earned it. You should rather ask Allah for some of His bounty. Allah has given you emotion, ask Allah to give you more emotions and more barakah in the emotions that you have. Allah has given you rationality, ask Allah to give you more barakah of the rationality. Because Allah has full knowledge of everything. When Allah has full knowledge of everything, He knows what befits you as a woman, what befits you as a man, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has distributed the rules so we would be in need of each other. Allah could have made us, all of us, similar to each other, and then would be redundant to each other, and the community wouldn't be able to proceed. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Does it make sense, inshallah? So the Prophet said to this woman on the day of Eid, if you are from Egypt, you know this. I'm not sure of the same. Sometimes you go and tell your child or your wife something that seems to so, oh, you naughty more, you naughty man, you shouldn't have done this. And you mean to tickle them, actually. You mean to nudge them, you mean to say something to them, even though the word that you have said is actually at face value means, oh, you're horrible. Take care. The word you have said, actually, it can, if it is decontextualized, taken out of the context, it can mean something bad. But at a special occasion, I say, I'm giving this present to this naughty, horrible girl. If you say naughty or horrible on its own, that would be interpreted negatively. But you say in this context, you mean to tickle them and to give them something good, cheerful. And this is what suits the context. The Prophet ﷺ said this to the women at the day of Eid, and he said, oh, you naughty women who are deficient in mind and religion, you have the ability to take away the mind of the firmest of all men. So look at it in this context and you'll understand what it means. And when the Prophet was asked, what is the deficiency exactly, he explained it the way I did, even though I given more details. Look at the ayah. When we are content with what Allah has given to us, when we are content with the rule distribution that has been given to us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us of His bounty. Allah knows everything, and everybody will be performing the role as per the commandments of Allah, and in what leads to the cohesion and to the progress of the community. The problem happens, my dear sisters, wallahi, when men try to perform the job of the women, and when women try to take the role of men work or men have short hair, we should do this. Men do that, we should be doing this. No. There's some requests nowadays, some invitations that men should also have a womb and she should carry the child. One child for the man, one child, because of equality. No, this is not equality. Equality is for men to do the jobs assigned to them and for women to do the jobs assigned to them. Allah will give the reward as per the commandment. Hope it's clear, inshallah.
Thank you very much.
Jazakumullah khair. I think we're past 1 hour and 10 minutes now, so we should stop. My battery is dying as well. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you very much for your sessions. We really enjoyed it and really much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sister. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم.
Assalamu alaikum.